Welcome in to the Golden Boot Podcast. I am your host, George Hancock. I'm always joined by these two knuckleheads, Vandy Chris and Cody Slavinsky. It's LSU night. We're talking LSU Tigers, and I know Mr. Purple Shirt down there is all excited.
I am.
We're going to talk all about Garrett Nussmeier and them LSU Tigers. Them Tigers, as Coach O would say. So let's jump into it. I know you get the roster pulled up. I know right off the bat, you losing Jaden Daniels is a huge loss.
Well, first of all, I don't have a roster pulled up because I haven't memorized.
Oh, you have it memorized. Listen to this guy.
Bro.
This guy. This guy memorizes his roster. Look, that's true fandom. So LSU in a nutshell, I mean, they lost some talent. I'll just be the overall guy. They lost some talent. Yep. They lost Jaden Daniels. They lost, some guys in defense. Had some really good success so far under Brian Kelly. I just want to puke. But as you can see right there, but it is what it is. He is very weird and just it reeks of ick, but hey,
I love
he can coach. LSU
to be fair, George,
love the guy.
Which LSU coach hasn't reeked of ick? I mean, you
Coach
go back
is
to
so likable though. Let's
review. You go back to Jerry DiNardo. I mean, come on, man. That reeks of ick.
Yeah.
Then you bring in Les Miles, who talks about going out after the football game and finding all the football players and giving them great big kisses on the lips.
Yeah, and eating grass like a damn cow. So
and then you bring in Coach O, who is a human replica of.
Hey! Don't be this no Coach O. Come on now.
And then you bring in a guy like Brian Kelly that wants to act like a hip hop dancer with recruits. I mean, which one of these guys is not it?
Of course, you'd love that.
So. I will say this, though, about Brian Kelly. The Brian Kelly hire, to me, resembles the Nick Saban hire in LSU. No, it resembles the Nick Saban hire. And no, I'm not putting them on the same level because they're not.
About to say, don't do that.
What I'm saying is Nick Saban, when he was hired at LSU, he was a northern guy. He was not a southerner. And he came in and he turned that program completely around and essentially built up arguably the second best program in the country over the last 24 years, considering we have the second most national championships in that span, which is crazy to say, but it's true. He laid the groundwork for it. And, now you get Brian Kelly, who comes in kind of the same kind of like situation of where he's from. And they're not the same guy, but Brian Kelly's brought a new vibe to LSU, and it's weird, but I like it. So I'm all for it. And I mean, he's definitely very different, and it's hard to accept him at first, but the more I hear him talk and what I see on the field, I'm liking what I see. And I really think that this year can be a special year for LSU because a lot of people are crapping on the team. They're like, okay, all right, so I look at it like this. You lose Jaden Daniels, you lose Malik Neighbors, you lose Brian Thomas Jr., and you lose Logan Diggs, which he was injured a lot last year, but he was still the starting running back. So you lose those four guys on offense. That's a big loss. It is. But the problem for everybody in the country that they forget is you have a quarterback who's been sitting and waiting, that's ready to go. He literally, if people remember, he came into the SEC championship game during Jaden Daniels' first season at LSU and took over for him because Jaden couldn't get the job done in the game. And he went in and slung the ball and actually performed very well. The wide receiver room is just stacked. It's been stacked for the last few seasons, and now these guys are hungry and ready to go. And then you add CJ Daniels from Liberty, who is a game changer and is just showing out in camp. And another underrated just facet for this team is at tight end. I mean, my Lord, you have Mason Taylor, who made the most heroic touchdown catch against Alabama to win the game a couple seasons. That was wonderful. But then you have a guy like Trey'Dez Green coming in, who has not played football very long. He's also on the basketball team. Tons of reach, great hands, a very, very raw talent that literally has the potential to be a superstar. You have Kamorion Pimpton, who is also a former Vanderbilt commit, that is starting to show out in practice. I'm loving what I see. But the offense is not what matters at this point, because I know the offense is going to be good. We got good play callers. I'm not questioning that. Defense. Last year, LSU sucked. Let's just be real. There's no other way to describe it. It was the worst thing LSU's put out defensively and ever, probably. And it was sickening. Matt House just was garbage last year. I mean, when you see what Harold Perkins did his freshman year versus his sophomore year, it's polar opposites. I mean, when you have a guy that can go in with the flu and legitimately win a game by himself on the road
in Arkansas,
it was one of the most beautiful defensive performances I've ever seen. The dude was everywhere. Well, now you have Blake Baker coming in to call the defense, and the way that he has described what he's seeing out of Harold Perkins this year, which obviously you have to have a different mindset if you're Harold Perkins, because this year's draft year. This isn't just your sophomore slump year. This is the year. And he's coming in with a whole different level of play, because they already said that not only is he ready, but he's like steps ahead of where he should be at this point in preparation for the season, which is great to hear. They say he's everywhere in practice. The film you see, which there's not a lot of film out there from, practice right now, but what is out there is very promising. You see so many other young defensive players come up and are just growing and growing. You have the king of DBU back, Corey Raymond, who is already killing it in recruiting, but he's also coaching these guys up to a level that's just fun. I mean, they're just having fun out there. Right. And the one big thing that Blake Baker is saying, and I love that y'all are biting your tongues right now. I'm loving it. I can just see it in your faces, and I love it. But, we don't want any poodles on this team this year. We want someone that's got that real dog in them. And I love that. I like the mantra. I think it's fun. Defensive line has been a concern from a lot of people, and I get it. I really do. I think that it's a situation where, the depth seems like it's kind of dwindling, but it's really not. Dominic McKinley is a 5-star prospect that's coming in. He's playing like a 5-star in practice right now, and that makes me feel very good. At defensive back, they got some guys from the portal. We got, a couple guys from Ohio State. You also have some young guys that are now more developed than they were last year, because we had to put quite a few freshmen on the field last year in defensive back because we had so many injuries. But then you had the veteran Sage Ryan back. You had Major Burns back. Those are two guys that are I think they can really make a difference this year. I think this team overall is night and day different from last year. It's going to be a totally different look team. Mike Denbrock is no longer the offensive coordinator. Makes me kind of happy for him. He got to go to Notre Dame, do his thing. Kudos to him. But you have Joe Sloan now. And I'm sorry, but that guy is the future head coach at LSU. You have Coach Hankton, who's also they're sharing the offensive coordinator duties, which I like it because both guys are just really intelligent. And but for me, though, knowing that Joe Sloan was able to be retained on this staff says a lot, because he's got just a special mindset when it comes to just the offense in general. He's a quarterback whisperer. He really is. And get ready, because LSU's hungry, and 2024 is about to be special.
I like your banner down there, Cody. That's nice.
And
I love that. It is. This is my show tonight. I love it.
And ladies and gentlemen, you just listened to the epitome of the definition of sunshine pumping.
You dang right. I am beyond hyped up for this team this year. Like it's
good.
And I'll be 100% honest. So I didn't hide my bias on that one at all. And there's
no reason to.
I mean, and don't get me wrong though. There are holes on this team. There are, but the one thing that's not a hole is the best offensive line in the country, and that is at LSU.
So real quick, let me just remind you, Cody, that the only reason Joe Sloan was retained was because Vanderbilt hired Jerry Kill as an analyst, and they brought in Tim Beck as offensive coordinator, and they walked away from Joe Sloan, leaving him sitting at the table. He flirted with going to Vanderbilt. That should tell you where he's at in that program.
Well, I mean, when you're the quarterback's coach at a school and you get a chance to be an offensive coordinator, why not consider it? But then when you get made into a co-offensive coordinator, why not? And it worked out in our favor. But, at the end of the day, I'm ready to look at the schedule. I'm beyond ready to look at it.
Let's take a peek. Let's do it. So, after that very glorious speech, I feel like you need to come off your podium now.
No.
The game that everyone is talking about, USC LSU in Las Vegas, September.
I don't even know why
3rd.
it's so hyped. Why is it hyped?
It's
What's
hyped.
so special?
It's hyped. It is hyped because it's Lincoln Riley versus Brian Kelly.
It's two horrible defenses lining up against each other to see whose offense can outscore the other one.
Yeah.
Well, there's a big difference though. One of the schools' defenses is vastly improved.
If Brian Kelly is anything like a good coach, he would have absolutely got on whoever his entire defensive staff would have been getting a foot up their ass the entire offseason to make sure.
No, it was all good. He put a boot on their ass and kicked them out the door.
That's true. That's right. You're right. No. Well, I'm saying after the hires, I'm saying he keeps that foot right there.
Oh yeah.
To make sure, because if y'all have another defensive performance like you did last year, I don't know.
He might have a player on the offense that would fit on the defense.
Oh Lord.
Who's that?
No, let's not go there. Not yet. Not yet. All right, here we go. USC in Vegas. What the heck is that? You got to help me with these. Is that JMU? No. Who is that?
All right, so I'll read the schedule. I got you.
I hate that. Please read the schedule. I hate when they don't have the name of the teams. Go ahead.
All right, so obviously USC to start it off. You got Nicholls State next. Then you got South Carolina.
I would have never got that.
No, it's all good. UCLA, South Alabama, Ole Miss, Arkansas, Texas A&M, Alabama, Florida, Vanderbilt, and Oklahoma. That is a fun schedule. It really is. Thankfully, we have some good filler games in there to kind of, get us through some humps. But it's a weird schedule.
Oh.
Like, what are the odds of you being an SEC school and getting USC and UCLA in the same season?
Yeah, I don't know. That's interesting. It's probably an odd deal there, but yeah. I mean,
I'm just going to call it out.
You go first.
I'm going to call it out.
Okay.
Whoever did the schedule needs to be slapped.
I hate this.
Why in the hell is a school like LSU bringing in a team like Nicholls State?
I don't know.
Because they're local and they need money.
Stop it.
We always bring in an in-state school. That happens every year.
Okay, bring in La Tech. You ain't brave enough to do that.
La Tech's work. We play La Tech quite frequently. There's not a team in the state that we don't play.
It's still, you should be ashamed of Nicholls State.
Nah.
You're an SEC school claiming to have national championship aspirations. Stop bringing in these patchies.
I think we did good. I mean, considering we have USC and UCLA on the schedule, I think it's fair.
That's every team. It does. I mean, I hear what you're saying. That's every team.
I know why they're bringing in Nicholls State. Because that's the only game. That's the only game your third string quarterback's going to get to play in, AJ Swan, and he might actually get to perform well at it.
I love that was your bring in for AJ. I love that so much.
Absolutely was his bring in for AJ. I swear. I personally think AJ Swan's going to be moved to some other position, but that's just me. Yeah, I mean. I don't like this graphic, by the way. I don't like it.
It was the first one I found.
Well, it's not the purple, it's not the yellow, it's not anything. It's clunky, and I don't. Cody, you could have made a much better one. Much better one.
I know that for a fact.
And I don't like the left to right reading of it because it confuses the crap out of me. But anyway, so looking for just real quick before we get out of here, as an Arkansas fan, as an LSU hater, because that's always what I'm going to be, right? Beat LSU. It's over here. Beat LSU. October 19th is circled. Here's why. You're going to have probably be an 8-point favorite in that game, 8 to 9 point favorite in that game. If you're a betting person, if you do not take the under in that game, you are an idiot. This is going to be a 3-point ball game all day long, and it could swing either way.
That's pretty much how it is every year.
That's how it is every year, and you absolutely should take the under every single time. I could have made so much money last year on 2 games, particular because of how high the spread was. I should have absolutely taken the under on both. It doesn't matter how the rosters are. It doesn't matter how the teams are. It doesn't matter who's number 1, unranked, whatever. Arkansas always plays LSU well, and vice versa. So, and then A&M, that's going to be a fun ball game. These 3 games back-to-back, Arkansas, A&M, and Alabama are going to be tough. Not to mention Ole Miss right before that.
Mm-hmm.
That's a tough 4-game stretch.
It is.
Really, because, and then of course you have Florida on November 16th, which you say 2-10 Gators. So, you'll have to prove your worth there. But man, that's a tough 4-game stretch because you can't sleep on Arkansas. Ole Miss is stacked. A&M is looking really good, and Alabama, even if they're an 8-4 team, Alabama and LSU play each other very, very well.
It's going to be a close game regardless.
Yeah. So, you got some work cut out for you. I think USC and UCLA, you can beat both of them. South Carolina, I don't think is going to be good. And yeah, Vanderbilt. Will we see here's the thing. Will we see AJ Swan in this game?
I bet
so.
you.
I bet you.
Actually, I hope we don't because CJ Taylor's going to knock his head off if we do.
Maybe.
If I'm just being honest.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I mean,
and then you're finishing. I hate. Can I say something real quick before we get out of here? I don't like that Arkansas was moved to just the middle of the season.
Yes.
Why are you playing Oklahoma last?
I hate the schedule.
I hate it.
Like, where's Mississippi State? Where's Auburn? Like, that's 2 rivalries that need to be on there.
Yep.
Makes me angry.
Well, and the Battle of the Boot is right in the middle of the year. Like, what is that?
Makes no sense.
It's always in November. It should always be in November, and it should always be scheduled as such. But whatever. We just can't be rivals anymore, Cody.
I guess we gotta like each other.
Chris, what do you think about this schedule?
So I see him at 5-0 when Ole Miss comes to town. Ole Miss is a different animal than what they will have faced to that point. Ole Miss gets them.
Okay.
Yep.
Okay. But then you go through. But then Ole Miss starts that stretch of 4 games. Ole Miss, Arkansas, Texas A&M, Alabama. That 4-game stretch, I have LSU going 1-3.
Ouch.
The only win being against Arkansas.
Yeah. Which you got to kick a field goal to win against Arkansas.
I don't think they're going into Texas A&M at College Station and winning that ball game. I just don't. I think Alabama's got more talent, and by then, yes, they may be an 8-4 football team. I think they get it dialed in by then. Florida, regardless of how bad Florida is, and I think they're absolutely one of the worst 2 teams in the SEC. Florida and LSU is always a dogfight.
Oh yeah.
Yep.
I mean, who can forget the shoe throwing incident?
We'll never forget it.
Oh, no, nobody's gonna forget that.
Vanderbilt, yes, they're going to be much improved. I don't think they're a problem for LSU.
No.
Oklahoma, that's a tough one.
That's in Death Valley.
I think LSU should win that, but I would not be shocked. For me, I've got them at 9-3. But,
okay, 9-3.
I'm still not happy with Nicholls State.
Yeah, Nicholls State. Let me ask you a question, and then I'll throw. We'll do our predictions and get out of here. Oklahoma, coming into Death Valley, is that going to be probably the most hostile environment they've ever set in?
Oh, 100%.
Because I mean, in Texas, you got Austin. They've been to Austin. You know, that's one thing. But I would very much argue that Death Valley is worse than Austin. And that November 30th,
I put an addendum on that.
Something.
The addendum on that is if that's a night game, that'll be a hostile environment.
It's going to be a night game.
It'll be a night game. There's no way it's not going to be a night game.
Okay, but Alabama LSU is a day game, so it's not a guarantee.
Well, Alabama LSU notoriously was always a 2:30 game back in the day, so that kind of
So here's the thing: if Oklahoma is a night game, that'll be bad for Oklahoma. If it's a day game, LSU fans are notorious for not showing up in the middle of the day in the heat because they aren't drunk enough yet.
Well, November 30th. November 30th, it ain't gonna be hot. Number one. Number two, if it's the last game of the season, it better be a night game. I'm sure it's gonna be. I would be very shocked if it wasn't.
I'm just saying, if it's a day game, LSU fans will not be there because they're not drunk enough.
Maybe.
Yet.
Yeah.
Now, would y'all like my breakdown of the schedule?
Sure.
All right. USC. They have a solid offense on them. Defense is still questionable. Offensive line is questionable. It's going to be a hard-fought game. I think LSU wins by 50. Nicholls State.
50.
By 50?
Yes. Nicholls State's going to come in.
Sunshine pumping.
Hey, no bias in this. Nicholls State's going to come in. It's going to be business as usual. LSU probably by 50. South Carolina on the road, okay? It's a hard environment. It is. They play hard. This one's actually a tough game for me to call. I think it is going to be pretty close, but I think LSU probably pulls it out and wins by 50. UCLA at home. I'm just going to be honest on this one. LSU is going to beat the shit out of UCLA. Pardon my language.
Yeah.
It might be by 60.
Especially if it's a night game.
No, I'm kidding. It's going to be by 50. South Alabama, business as usual. LSU by 50. Ole Miss, though. Ole Miss is a different breed. They're a beast coming in. This game does scare me. First SEC game of the year. Thankfully LSU does have some marquee matchups before that. Second SEC game of the year. But they have marquee matchups before that to have them ready for this game. I think Ole Miss is obviously one of the better teams in the country, but LSU by 50. Arkansas, on the other hand, we know that's a close beast right there. That one is the one that never bet the over, but LSU by 50.
Yeah, you said that real quiet. Real quiet.
I had to. I can't say it loud.
Yeah, okay.
A&M, though, Connor Wegman, very high on the kid. I like him a lot. I like Mike Elko. I think that A&M is back this year. I think that they're going to bounce back and have a good season. No matter how good they do this year, they're still losing to LSU by 50. Alabama, that game is always circled on my schedule. I love that game. Win, lose, or draw, I love watching that game. It's just hard fought. Except last year just really made me angry. But it's hard fought. It's fun. Welcome to a rivalry, Kalen DeBoer, because LSU's beating you by 50. Florida, 2-10. I don't care what Florida does. I don't care if they call the Jaguars to be their team that day. LSU by 50. Vanderbilt, Nussmeier sits after the first quarter. A.J. Swan puts up 7 touchdowns. On that 7th touchdown, he runs it in for a 2-point conversion to lead LSU to a victory by 50.
I say
Jesus
75.
Christ! You didn't even beat us by 50 with the greatest offensive team you ever had. Stop it!
I say 75.
Hey, okay.
Oklahoma.
That's fair. Now, Oklahoma game. I'm actually excited about this. Jackson Arnold coming in to Death Valley. This is a game that he's excited for. I'm excited to see it. I like having big name quarterbacks. I like seeing them come into on the road at LSU.
Sure.
It's fun to watch because a guy like Jackson Dart coming into LSU is gonna be fun to see. You got Jalen Miller coming in. It's both those guys last year's there. Jackson Arnold's coming in, getting a taste of of Death Valley. He said it's a place he's never been at night. Like he just wants to see it. That's going to be a rude awakening right there because LSU Oklahoma apparently is becoming a new rivalry. I enjoy it. What better way to kick this rivalry off than LSU winning by 50? And if I'm not mistaken, last time we played them, we almost beat them by 50. But this time we will beat them by 50.
Oh.
LSU by 50, 12-0. Let's go, baby.
Wow. That is hilarious.
Unbiased. I'm clearly not an LSU fan at all.
Unbiased. That's unbiased, he says. Very unbiased. Yeah, I don't know how that's unbiased, but hey.
Hey, realistically though, 10-2, 11-1 is where I'm sitting with LSU.
Okay. All right. 10-2, 11-1. I say 9-3, with one of those losses being Arkansas. By a field goal. Listen. So I got 9-3. Cody, you say 10-2, 11-1. Chris?
9-3.
9-3. There you go. All right. We went a little over, but that's okay. Thank you so much for joining. Hey, if you haven't already, hit that like button, hit that subscribe button. It helps us out so much. This is the Golden Boot Podcast. We just finished breaking down your LSU Tigers. Go Tigers. And so we will appreciate you guys so much. As always, stay golden. We will see you next time.